Welcome back, Shalligators. Today, we're going to talk about two celebrities who we've never touched on here before. Crishelle Strauss, that name doesn't roll off the tongue, and her boss, Jason Oppenheim, stars of Selling Sunset. Why? Because they've broken up. Now, why is this significant? Maybe she got tired of gazing down upon him because he's 4'8" and she's like, I don't even know what she is, but she's a good foot taller than her, than her. There was the Freudian slip. There it was. We're going to talk about whether or not you should break up with someone if your family ideas don't align. Because look, it's Christmas. People are thinking about their family. They're with their family. They're getting questions from family. Where are you guys going? Have you talked about kids? Da, 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 da. And maybe you're also dealing with engagement season. Either you're watching people get engaged or you're hoping to get engaged yourself. But have you asked yourself these big questions? We're also going to talk about the things you need to address in a relationship before you take these next big steps. Because I didn't. I got engaged at Christmas. I was married 11 months later and divorced a year after that. And I would love it if you guys could avoid my mistakes, because only a fool learns from their own mistakes. A wise woman learns from the mistakes of others, namely Shallon Lester. So we're going to get into this. We're going to break it all down. But before we do, just want to remind you about our holiday fundraiser. We are funding classroom projects posted on a site called Donors Choose by teachers. And teachers post their little projects, whether they need like seating, clothing, snacks, books, stuff like that for their classrooms. Usually it's never more than a few $100s per project, but these are things the teacher would have to buy with their own money. And we have funded probably 10 projects so far, and we're just keeping it going. So the link is going to be down here in the description, and the link is going to be rotating as we fund projects. Also, if you would like a present for yourself, feel free to reach out to me on Cameo for a custom video if you're in the US. If you're outside the US, head over to Memo, where you can request a custom video. They're about 3 to 5 minutes long. Speaking of guys. Now, Crishelle Strauss, Crishelle, right? Can you not hear her clacking acrylic nails? Crishelle. She seems like a nice woman. She just, yes, does what it says on the tin. She's had kind of a rough go of it. So she was married to that dude from This Is Us, an unwatchably bad, treacly show. Cannot fucking stand it. Justin Hartley, who is a smoke, but a douche because he divorced her. And like, isn't he already married again? Like, I mean, he got engaged in like a matter of months or something after divorcing her. And that's rough. So she recently took up with, of all people, her boss on Selling Sunset, Jason Oppenheimer. I guess he's part of a twin. Two tiny little Polly Pocket-sized man twins. But he's doing real well for himself, so I shouldn't throw shade. He can buy and sell me. So they have been dating a while, and like, I think they went Instagram official like this summer on a vacation to Italy, and it's already over. And she said in a statement like a bunch of really nice things, like, he's my best friend, he always will be, but our ideas of family don't align. And the truth is, like, women don't have as much time to figure this out, and that's just the way it is. Like, men have a lot more time. Clearly, she's talking about kids. I would guess she wants kids like ASAP. She's 40, he's 44, and he's like, I'm Gucci. Men. You can't blame them for feeling like this. I mean, I can find a way to blame them for almost anything, trust and believe. But they don't have this ticking clock. They don't have this exigency, you know? And I think, you know, I've talked a lot about my disinterest in having children, and people are like, but you're getting older, I'm like, I fucking know that. Like, thank you. I'm perfectly aware of like my government age. I am, as they say though, as no one says, as I say, because I made it up, trans chronological. If you can be transsexual, why can't you be trans chronological? I mean, if we can all do our own thing, and you should be completely allowed to do your own thing and be whoever you want, I choose to be 28, 26, 24. Great. Tell me what age you guys would want to be forever. Tell me in the comments, because I think it's really interesting. You know, it's like, of course I don't want to go back to who I actually was at 26, like running on Adderall and Frappuccinos. I would want to take the knowledge I have now and go back, or just have my metabolism. I don't know. But I can choose. Anyhow. Anywho's, I feel for Crishelle, and I think all of us feel for women in this position, because a lot of times we are the women in this position where our idea of the future is just not the same as our partner's timeline. Some of the best dating advice I've ever gotten was from, ironically, my messiest friend. And she's like, you can't just fall in love with a person. You have to fall in love with their circumstances. And I never, ever forgot that, because if you just have the person and not the circumstances, you have kind of like a fuckboy, or a dead end, or just chemistry and no real viability for the future. And when you're 22, fine. Who cares? You're not thinking about getting married. You're not thinking about kids. You have multiple years to waste. Should you do that? No, because you're still wasting your heart. You're setting patterns and precedent for bad behavior. I did that, thinking the exact same way. I'm not looking to get married anytime soon. Why can't I just fuck around and have fun? Because you're breaking your own heart, and it actually isn't fun. It's painful. But if you have someone where you've only fallen for their circumstances and not the person, well, then you have a good on paper situation. You have an arranged marriage. You have the ick. No chemistry. Just blech, don't touch me with those fingers, right? So you can't have either one of those extremes. You really do have to have both. And it's important to know that you cannot date potential. You cannot date potential. We have to assume that who this man is today, right now, let's assume it's carved in stone. Because it very well might be. We accept that a lot of things about someone are set in stone. What kind of food they won't eat, the kind of music they really like or don't like, whether or not they're into traveling, right? Little things that we're like, okay, well, no, he just doesn't like sushi. He's never going to eat sushi. Rick doesn't like it. He won't go down to me either. Are those correlated? I don't know. We can accept that, maybe because it's like, well, that's not really a big deal. Whether or not he will or won't eat unagi is like it kind of irrelevant to my future goals. So maybe we're more willing to accept someone's immovability if it doesn't impact our own life. But we look at someone who says they don't want to have kids as like a challenge. Oh, he just doesn't know yet. He just hasn't met the girl. He doesn't want to get married. Oh, he will. He loves you. And we should be doing the opposite. We should be accepting those big things as even more immovable than the sushi, because those do affect our life plan. And holy fucking shit, girls, what if we bet wrong? What if when a grown man says, I don't want kids? What if he's right? Then what? Where are you at 45? At 35, if that's when you want children, where are you at? And is he worth giving up your dreams? I will tell you fucking what. No, he's not. No man is worth your dreams. None of them. I don't care if your dreams aren't kids. I don't care if your dream is to sail around the world on a Carnival cruise ship. I don't care if your dream is to run a YouTube empire and live in a gorgeous house in Montana. They belong to you. Do you think you were put on this earth to be some sort of like sim waiting in motion to be activated by a man? Listen, maybe your church told you that. Maybe your parents told you that. I come before all these people. I'm smarter than all of them. You were not. I tell you that's horse shit. Absolutely not. Sorry. Yeah, I'll take on the Catholic Church if I need to. Let's go. Let's go. You were put on this earth to fulfill your dreams and not another person's. Nobody else's. Nobody else's. Because I'm willing to bet whatever it is you do want is not that weird. It's not that hard to find. But you're telling yourself it is. You're telling yourself that the only person who could possibly give me kids is him. Well, what am I supposed to do? Start over? Yes. Well, then I'd be alone. You are alone. You are alone in this dream. And wouldn't you rather know that than think you have a partner that you don't? For you to think you have a teammate who is not on your team at all and might never be? But maybe he will. Okay, girl, maybe he will. I'm not a betting woman. I'm not. I never have been. And I'm certainly not rolling the dice with my future and my dreams. I'm not putting everything I want out of this life in the hands of someone who's like, I don't know. Or maybe he's not even saying, I don't know. Maybe he's saying no, and you're not hearing him. Because look, he might not just be saying it with words. He might be saying it with behaviors. We all know people who've been with their boyfriend for like 4 years, 5 years. Do you guys think you'll get married? Oh, for sure. Definitely. Yes. What are you basing that on? Have you talked about it? I mean, maybe you have. I don't know. Maybe you have. But it's like, Does he want kids? Oh, yes, he wants kids. Okay, well, you guys have been together for 5 years. You're not engaged. Maybe you live together, maybe not. You're not having kids or taking, like, what? Are you saying that? Oh, yes. Based on hopes and wishes? That's not a foundation upon which to build a life. And I understand. Believe me, I understand what it's like to leave someone where your goals don't align. Hence, me only being married a year. Now, in that situation, the roles were reversed. My husband was much more traditional than I was, and I was simply not ready to settle down. I should not have even gotten engaged, but I did, because I'm stupid. And I wasn't ready to face this truth, you know? And, I just realized we got engaged today. We got engaged right before Christmas today. Okay. Anyway, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to. This is going to be the first Christmas I don't cry. That's what this is going to be. Anyway, learn from my example. Actually, I have a better example for you. The 3-egg man. Have you heard about the 3-egg man? We've talked about him before, and he bears repeating. It should be taught in schools. So one of my friends has a friend who was dating this dude. Like, they were together, but he was not moving this relationship forward. She was dragging him like a donkey through the mud. Like, he says he doesn't want to get engaged, but like, like she kind of bullied him into getting engaged. Okay. They get married. He's like wasted at the wedding. To me, it was very obvious this dude did not want to be there in any shape or form. Not that he's a victim. He didn't have to propose. Then came the battle of the kids. Oh, he's like really on the fence. She pulled the goalie, got pregnant, didn't really consult him. He was pretty clear about not really wanting kids, as he was clear about not wanting to get married, but he did anyway. Cut to, they have like a 4-year-old, right? And the 4-year-old's in the phase where like he only eats eggs. Kids go through that. I didn't. I was like a garbage disposal. I ate everything. But the husband knows this. He knows that his son only eats eggs. So this motherfucker needs eggs for like his dumb protein shake that he makes or whatever. He goes to the grocery store knowing that his child only eats eggs, knowing they're out of eggs at the house, knowing he needs 3 eggs for his protein shake. What does this man do? He buys 3 eggs. Comes home holding them in his hand like a handful of magic beans. Doesn't buy a dozen eggs. I don't even know how you can buy 3 eggs. I feel like he bought a dozen and threw them away. He comes home holding these eggs, and the wife is like, are you fucking serious? Your son only eats Really? Yeah, really, girl. The psyche must be heard. And that man was going to let her know through eggs, through behaviors, through whatever, that he does not want to be there, that he doesn't care about that child, that he's going to do things to passive aggressively spite them both. Do you want a 3-egg man? Do you want a 3-egg life? I want someone who wants to be there. Or you know what? I want to know, okay, you don't want to be here? I'm going to have a baby by artificial insemination. I'm going to adopt a cherubic little baby from Russia or whatever. I want to know what I don't have. You ever try to cook and you realize you don't have a spice? Wouldn't you rather realize that when you were already at the grocery store? You come home, you're like, marjoram, right? Then you can't make this thing. When you think you have something you don't, it's maddening and it's ruinous. We know that with cooking. Why can't we handle that emotionally? So I know I said at the beginning of this video, I was going to talk about conversations to have before you take that next step. It actually warrants its own video. It needs its own video because it's going to talk about like money and religion, all this stuff. So I'm going to wait. Mona, this is for you. One of my friends is engaged. My sister is engaged and I'm so excited for her. But she's like, have you ever done a video on conversations to have when you're engaged? And I was like, no, because I didn't have them. I didn't have them. So I'm going to go into my mind palace of sadness and think what I should have talked about with my husband, and maybe we would still be here. But for now, how does this relate to Jason and Crishelle? I am proud of her for getting out of this relationship. She saw the writing on the wall and she's like, look, I've got things that I want, a timeline. No one in the world has the right to tell me my timeline is stupid or not valid or you shouldn't want that or focus on your career. I want what I want. I'm not going to compromise. I'm not going to pretend otherwise and end up resenting my partner. I'm also not going to fill in the blanks of what he's saying and like twist it into something I want to hear. I'm brave enough to stand up and say, we don't align, my guy. And relationships are about alignment. Love is logistics and chemistry is not compatibility. It is not. And that is so unfortunate. It feels tragic. It does. You feel like Romeo and Juliet, like these factors have torn you apart, you know? But what is more tragic than looking back on your life and knowing that you didn't get what you wanted? For some guy? Even, I'm not saying you don't love him. I know that you love him and he might be wonderful. But again, we were talking about this in the video where I told you guys I broke up with Chase. It doesn't have to be an F for it not to be an A+. It can be a B- and that can just simply not be high enough for you. You want an A+. You want A for effort, A for accountability, A for commitment, A for him wanting to be here. He can be a D in what kind of sushi he likes. I don't care. I want a man with the same outlook as me. We've talked before about the pillars of compatibility. And the number one, well, I mean, there's sexual chemistry, how you recreate, that's a huge thing. Do you have the same hobbies? Like, what do you both like to do on a Saturday morning? You know, that's gonna pull you apart sooner rather than later. But the number one was, what are your goals for the future? Because what is a partnership? What is a marriage? Even if you're not thinking about marriage necessarily, do you want to look back on someone you dated for 2 years and be like, okay, where the fuck did that get me? Don't you want to maybe be with someone who, on the off chance you want to marry them, has a similar life plan, wants to live in the same area, has similar ideas about money and earning? We're going to talk more about those in that video because I know it's engagement season. I know a lot of you guys are like getting hitched, or, you know, like we said, we're all with family and we're thinking about the next chapter of our lives and the future and everything. And listen, the time to start thinking about this stuff is not when the ring is on your finger. It's before. It's right now. So we're going to be breaking that down. But I hope this was a helpful little pep talk. I mean, the TLDR is, if your goals aren't aligned, you got to get the fuck out. You got to get out. And it's painful because day to day, it's not bad. You're happy, but it's a war of attrition. It's a slow erosion. And you know who benefits in those situations? Men. They don't have this clock. They wear out yours. They just wind it down. I have a friend, I'm watching her do it right now. I'm watching her do it. I can feel the anxiety when I talk to her about her boyfriend not making any moves to have kids or get married or do anything. And it's like, he's just going to wind you down, girl. Like, this is no skin off his back. And day to day, that's the thing. It's not bad. It's not a bad relationship. You're happy. So it's like, on what day do you decide to euthanize a relationship that's like not bad? Look, I will tell you, like, I feel like Crishelle is going through this. Like, I feel like she probably was in this situation with Justin Hartley. I'm sure she wanted kids and maybe he didn't. I mean, I can't say I'm sure, but I would not be surprised if that was the case. She waited until they got divorced. I bet she's looking at that and being like, I wish I would have divorced him the second he said he didn't want kids, or maybe not married him at all, instead of drawing it out 5 extra years. And now that I'm like, I want kids yesterday, it's real hard to find a partner who's game for that. Oh, we've known each other 6 months? Let's fucking do this. And her and Jason Oppenheim have not known each other 6 months. They've known each other for years and they still couldn't get on the same page. The last thing you want is to be spat out into the dating scene with this time-sensitive agenda and feeling like your choices are very limited. And they might be. Not that you have no choices. You always have choices. But you want as many choices as possible. So ask yourself, okay, things are good day to day. How am I going to feel in 1 year, in 2 years, in 5 years, if his mind has never changed, if I'm 5 years older, 5 years less fertile, and I'm single then? Will I wish I had just done it today? Because you know what? It's not going to hurt less 5 years from now. It's going to hurt more. It's going to hurt more. Well, maybe he will change his mind. You know when he'll change his mind? When you fucking leave. When you're like, I said this was what I wanted. I said this is important to me. You clearly thought I was bluffing, so here I go. A man can't miss you if he hasn't lost you, and nothing hyper ripens a man and grows him into a mature actual man from a boy than losing something. Men don't just mature. They don't. They mature based on like a terrible event, losing a job, going off to war, having the woman they love leave them. That's when they grow up, when they get some tough love. Not like it's 100% going to work, but it's better than staying where you are and just hoping and wishing. That's not who we are around here. We're not hopers and wishers and dreamers. We're fucking doers and conquerors. We're not women. We're warlords. This is just another plane you have to conquer. And you have to do it maybe by different means. And maybe the thing you truly need to conquer is your own fear. Okay. That's fine. We're not afraid. I want to know your thoughts. Like I said, what age would you guys choose to get stuck at? I've told you before I hit the trauma lottery and I'm stuck at 22, so not too bad. We're going to be back with more Christmas videos. Will I look any better than this? No. Will my big light bulb head be on display because I can't, my bangs are making me crazy? Yeah. Will I maybe even be in this hoodie? Yeah, dude, I probably will. But we're going to talk about holiday stress and social anxiety. We're going to talk about goal setting for the new year, when it's a good thing, and sometimes when it's not. I know. Not what you think you're going to hear from me. And of course, we're going to do that video on conversations to have when you get engaged or before. We will see you later, Shalligators.